Welcome to Battle Paradox. Today we dive into an alternate timeline, a curious, explosive twist in ancient history. The powerful civilization of ancient Egypt discovers the secrets of gunpowder long before the rest of the world even imagines it. What happens next? How does the balance of power shift? How does warfare evolve? And how might that ripple into the modern age, even influencing the United States Navy, United States Air Force, and United States Marine Corps? Stick around for fun facts, medieval warfare-style imagery, and a little DIY gunpowder breakdown for curiosity's sake. Don't try this at home. Let's embark. Ancient Egypt, land of pyramids, pharaohs, the Nile River's annual flood, and armies armed with chariots, archers, and spearmen. The military of Egypt in the New Kingdom, roughly 1570 to 1069 BCE, had a professional corps, though still very much pre-gunpowder. Imagine the desert sands, the shield walls, the bronze-tipped arrows. No gunpowder, no bombs. The ancient civilization mastered stone, metallurgy, and siege techniques, but the chemical revolution of explosives? Not yet. Now let's leap into speculation. Suppose some alchemist in Thebes or near the Nile Delta tinkles with salts, charcoal, sulfur, just as the Chinese did centuries later. We know that true gunpowder, potassium nitrate plus sulfur plus charcoal, originated in China around the 9th century. So in our timeline, an Egyptian temple-wise priest, in the service of the god Heka, god of magic, experiments with strange minerals. He mixes saltpeter mined from arid desert soils, charcoal from papyrus husks, sulfur from volcanic-associated hot springs upstream. Boom, figuratively. First sparks. It's hypothesized. In our what-if scenario, this discovery expands, gets refined, and the Egyptian military begins to integrate, just a little. Now the fun begins. With gunpowder in their arsenal, Egyptian chariots might mount small bronze cannon-like devices. Archers are joined by explosive arrowheads. Siege towers get reimagined. Imagine ramparts topped with jars of black powder mix, fire lances projecting flame. The context shifts from classic spearmen and chariots to proto-artillery. In medieval Europe and elsewhere, gunpowder changed the shape of warfare. In our alternate Egypt, they leap ahead. Walls previously impregnable to bronze spears now crack under explosive force. The region's power equation changes. Egypt conquers further, dominates the eastern Mediterranean, maybe even reaches across into the Levant far sooner than in our timeline. The emergence of gunpowder in this early era means downstream effects. Other ancient civilizations, Mesopotamia, the Hittites, even the Minoans or Mycenaeans, must adapt. The whole concept of medieval warfare shifts earlier. Castles become obsolete. Fortress walls get redesigned. Infantry tactics evolve. Historically, gunpowder was used for fireworks, mining, and eventually warfare. In Egypt's case, maybe fireworks for their festivals around the Nile become grander. But soon, it's weapons. So each army now fields spearmen, chariots, and fire lances, or early cannon guzzlers. The terms medieval warfare take on a new era, centuries ahead. Okay, fast forward many centuries. This alternate history means the timeline of technological progress shifts. By the time the modern era rolls around, the United States Marine Corps, U.S. Navy, and U.S. Air Force may inherit a world where explosive propellants and artillery evolved at a different pace. For example, the U.S. Navy's battleships might be designed earlier. The U.S. Air Force's aerial bombardment doctrine might be different because gunpowder and propellants had a longer legacy. Maybe the U.S. builds on centuries of Egyptian-derived gunpowder tradition to develop rocketry earlier. The ripple, wars fought by the U.S. in this timeline, might leverage long-established explosive tech, like artillery shells, missiles, etc., more refined. The phrase medieval warfare becomes anachronistic, but the spirit remains: force, firepower, innovation. Here's a fun historical tangent for your curiosity, not for home experimentation. The classic gunpowder formula: around 75% saltpeter, potassium nitrate, 15% charcoal, 10% sulfur. In our alternate Egypt timeline, what if they used papyrus charcoal, desert-sourced sulfur and saltpeter, collected from Nile bed evaporites? Imagine temple scribes writing down hieroglyphs for the fire of Horus, meaning the ignition igniting the enemy wall. Don't try building explosives at home. This is purely speculative for fun. So, what have we learned? That even a tiny twist, Egypt discovering gunpowder centuries earlier, can cascade into massive changes in ancient civilizations, medieval warfare, and modern military forces like the US Navy, US Air Force, and US Marines. It shows how technology shapes war, culture, and global power. If you enjoyed this deep dive into alternate history, hit like, subscribe to Battle Paradox, and tell me in the comments, which civilization would you like to see next, discovering an unexpected technology? Ancient Rome with aviation, the Aztecs with steam power. Thanks for watching. Stay curious, stay paradoxical. Until next time, ancient sands meet modern war.